after it opened.
Wow.
I don't remember seeing it for 40 or 50 years.
Wow.
Something like that. Yeah.
So what'd you think?
It's it's the film I wanted to make. I was, when I say I wanted to make, I don't mean to take anything away from Martin Scorsese, who made it. But yes, wasn't he wonderful?
Yes.
Can I tell you the way this came
Yes,
about?
please tell us, because you are more than just the star of this film.
Well, I was shooting The Exorcist, and the dailies were going back to John Calley at Warner Brothers. And he called my agent and said, we want to make another picture with her. And so they sent me all the scripts that they owned with parts of women in them. And they sent them on to me. And they were all men's ideas of women. And they were stereotypical. They were the good wife, or the victim, or the prostitute with a heart of gold. And it was right at the beginning of the women's movement. And none of them were anything like women as I know them to be, or my friends at the time, myself included. And I wanted to make a woman's film. I wanted to make a film that was about a woman from a woman's point of view. And I told them that. And my agent found the script. And it was like a kind of, in the original form, it was like a romantic comedy, a typical kind of romantic comedy. You know, well written, but it wasn't from a woman's point of view at all. And so, but I thought it could be made into that. So I brought it to Warner Brothers, they accepted it. And they said, who do you want to direct it? And I said, somebody new and exciting. And I called my friend and asked him who's new and exciting. And he said, well, look at a film called Mean Streets.
And this friend is Francis Ford Coppola, right?
Yes, it was Francis Coppola. And I looked at Mean Streets and I said, well, this is the level of reality that I would like in the film. But I don't know if he knows anything about women, so we had a meeting. And he came in and I said, Marty, I loved your film, but I want this film told from a woman's point of view. Do you know anything about women? And he said, no, but I'd like to learn. And I thought that was the best answer he could possibly have given. So that's what we set out to do. We set out to make a film from the woman's point of view, which I think we accomplished. And it was a first. It really was a first. I mean, well, there had been, some movies like Bette Davis movies, but in the context of the 1970s, this was the first.
Say more about that in terms of how this film reflects the state of the women's movement at that time.
Well, I'll tell you a good example was the ending. I wanted her to continue her dream to be a singer. And in the original script, once he asked her to marry him, oh, well, that was the end of her dream, and she married him, and they lived happily ever after. So we changed the script, rewrote it, and she was going on to Monterey. And when the studio saw the rewrite, John Calley called and said, no, we can't have that. She has to end up with a man. And I said, but I don't want her to give up her dream to marry a man. He said, no, we've already done a film with an unhappy ending and it didn't sell. And I said, wait a minute, you're telling me that if she ends up with a man, that's a happy ending, and if she goes on and follows her dream, that's an unhappy ending? He said, I'm telling you, if she doesn't end up with a guy, we ain't making the film. I said, I hear that, okay. So then Marty and I tried to figure out, how do we do the ending so that both are satisfied, so that the studio's satisfied and I'm satisfied. And we couldn't figure it out. We just kept having rewrite after rewrite, and it never worked. And the way Marty worked is that at the end of every day shooting, we would rehearse this scene for the next day shooting. And we got right up to the night before we were gonna shoot the ending, and we didn't have the ending. So, and we always, whenever we rehearsed, we did an improv on the scene. And we said, okay, maybe we can find it in an improv. And we started to do it. And we were struggling. And Chris Christopherson finally said, come on, I'll take you to Monterey. I don't give a damn about that ranch. And I said, you will? He said, yes. And Marty and I looked at each other and said, that's it. We got it. We got both of them. So that became the ending.
Wow. The ending has you and, well, Alice and her son, which is also like a different way of thinking about the usual ending. Like we get the ending in the restaurant, the typical kind of romantic moment, but then there's that ambiguity in a way because it doesn't end with the romantic couple. It ends with a different loving couple.
Well, yes, but also if you notice that we happened to be walking toward a place with a big Monterey sign over it, which just happened to be there. I mean, we were in Tucson. Who knew that they had a Monterey sign there? But you know, we were going on, but we also had a new home.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You just